What would happen if everyone on Earth earned the exact same salary? Imagine a world where the janitor, the CEO, the artist, and the surgeon all take home the same paycheck every month. What would our society look like? It sounds like a simple solution to inequality, but the reality, according to science and economics, is far more complex and, frankly, pretty wild. Let's dive into this thought experiment. First, let's set the stage. We're talking about a global, mandatory, equal wage. Let's say, for argument's sake, everyone gets the equivalent of $30,000 a year. For billions of people living in poverty, this would be a life-changing miracle. Suddenly, they have access to better food, housing, healthcare, and education. We'd likely see a massive immediate drop in global poverty and a huge improvement in overall well-being and life expectancy in developing nations. The world would become a much healthier and happier place for a huge portion of its population. That's a huge win, but what happens on the other side of the coin? In wealthier countries, this $30,000 salary is significantly less than the average income. For many, it would be a catastrophic pay cut. Doctors, engineers, lawyers, and skilled professionals would see their income plummet. Now, here's where human nature and economics kick in. What's your incentive to spend years in difficult, expensive schooling and training for a highly demanding job, like being a brain surgeon, if you'll earn the same as someone in a much less stressful or demanding role? The motivation to pursue difficult, high-skill professions would likely evaporate. We could face a massive shortage of essential experts. Why go through a decade of medical school and residency, accumulating massive debt, to earn the same as someone who started working right after high school with no training? The supply of doctors, scientists, and engineers would dwindle, leading to a potential collapse in our healthcare and technological infrastructure. Innovation would grind to a halt. Who would invest years of their life developing a new technology or a life-saving drug if there is no financial reward for their risk and effort? This brings us to the problem of labor allocation. In our current system, salaries help direct people to where they're most needed. Dirty, dangerous, or undesirable jobs often pay more to attract workers. Think about sanitation workers, oil rig workers, or long-haul truck drivers. If everyone earns the same, who would voluntarily choose these tough jobs? We'd face a crisis in essential services. Cities could become buried in trash, and supply chains could break down because no one wants to drive the trucks. The jobs that nobody wants but that everyone needs would be left undone. To solve this, a government might have to resort to forcing people into certain jobs. You wouldn't choose your career based on passion or talent, but based on a lottery or an assignment from a central authority. This starts to sound less like a utopia and more like a dystopia, stripping away individual freedom and choice. Now let's talk about the economy itself. With everyone earning a modest income, a lot of industries would simply vanish. Luxury goods? Gone. High-end restaurants? Closed. The entire market for premium products and services would disappear overnight. This would lead to mass unemployment in those sectors. While people in formerly poor countries would have more purchasing power, the overall global economy might actually shrink as complex production chains collapse. And what about the cost of living? This is a huge factor. Earning $30,000 a year in a small rural town in Southeast Asia is very different from earning the same amount in New York City or London. Without a mechanism for adjusting wages based on location, people would flock from high-cost areas to low-cost areas. Major cities could become ghost towns, while certain rural areas would be overwhelmed, creating new kinds of social and logistical chaos. Prices for goods and services would also go haywire. If everyone has the same amount of money, the price of basic goods might be bid up, creating massive inflation. Your $30,000 might not be worth much after all. Psychologically, the effects are also profound. While it might reduce envy and social comparison in some ways, it could also crush ambition. The drive to work harder, to innovate, to be better than the competition, is often fueled by the prospect of greater reward. If that's removed, what replaces it? For some, it might be the pure joy of their work, but for many, a sense of stagnation could set in. A study published in the Journal of Economic Psychology suggests that while people dislike inequality, they also value fairness, which includes being rewarded for effort and skill. Equal pay for unequal work can feel deeply unfair. So, in the end, this grand experiment of equal salaries would likely start with a noble goal and some genuinely positive outcomes, like a reduction in extreme poverty. but it would quickly unravel into a logistical nightmare. We'd face a critical shortage of skilled professionals, a breakdown in essential services, a loss of personal freedom, and economic stagnation. The world would become less innovative, less productive, and ultimately, less prosperous for everyone. The desire for a fairer world is a powerful and important one. But the science of economics and human behavior shows us that simple solutions to complex problems rarely work. Instead of equal outcomes, perhaps the focus should be on creating equal opportunities, ensuring everyone has access to quality education, healthcare, and a fair chance to reach their full potential, whatever that may be. That's a puzzle that is just as complex, but far more likely to lead to a truly better world. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this thought experiment interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating what-if scenarios. Let me know in the comments what you think would happen in a world with equal pay. See you next time.